She was once crowned Hollywood's highest-paid actress. She was the face of blockbuster franchises and the star of intimate art house dramas. She graced magazine covers as a fashion icon and was hailed as one of the most beautiful women in the world. But behind the glamour, Scarlett Johansson's career has been marked by scandals that might have destroyed anyone else. In 2011, her private photos were hacked and spread across the internet, a violation that could have derailed her career. Instead of hiding, she pursued the hacker in court, setting a precedent for how celebrities fight back in the digital age. Years later, in 2017, she was cast in Ghost in the Shell. The role was meant to be another triumph, but instead ignited accusations of whitewashing, with critics blasting the studio for casting a white actress in a role rooted in Japanese culture. The controversy threatened to tarnish her image as a forward-thinking artist. Then came another firestorm in 2018, when she was attached to star in Rub and Tug as a transgender man. The backlash was swift and fierce, forcing Johansson to step down and issue a public statement that revealed how Hollywood was evolving and how even its brightest stars had to adapt. And just when critics thought she might fade into scandal, she turned the tables again. In 2021, Johansson sued Disney over the release of Black Widow, claiming the studio breached her contract by putting the film on streaming. The lawsuit shocked the industry and she won, securing a settlement that redefined how actors negotiate in the streaming era. Scarlett Johansson's story is not just about fame. It is about battles, personal, professional, and cultural, that shaped her career. But how did it all begin? To understand the rise of this Hollywood icon, we need to go back to her roots and see how she became a household name. Scarlett Ingrid Johansson was born in New York City in 1984, the daughter of an architect father and a producer mother. Growing up in a family that valued creativity, she was introduced early to the stage. By the age of 8, she was already performing in off-Broadway plays, and at 9 she landed her first film role in North, 1994. For most child actors, those early years are fleeting experiments. For Scarlett, they were the start of a lifelong trajectory toward Hollywood superstardom. What separated her from other aspiring young performers was a combination of discipline and natural presence. Even in small parts, critics noticed her maturity. She projected emotions beyond her years, often stealing scenes from more established co-stars. In Manny and Lo, 1996, her performance as a precocious younger sister earned critical praise and set her apart as someone to watch. By the time she was cast opposite Robert Redford in The Horse Whisperer, 1998, her reputation as a serious young actress was firmly established. As she transitioned from adolescence to adulthood, Johansson gravitated toward independent films. In Ghost World, 2001, she embodied a detached, sardonic teenager in a role that resonated with audiences disillusioned by the turn of the millennium. But it was Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation, 2003, that transformed her into an international star. Playing opposite Bill Murray, Johansson portrayed Charlotte, a young woman adrift in Tokyo, navigating loneliness and identity. The performance earned her a BAFTA award and solidified her reputation as a performer capable of both vulnerability and quiet strength. By her early 20s, Johansson had achieved what most actors chase for decades: critical acclaim, steady roles, and industry respect. She was no longer just a child star, she was a leading actress with a distinctive voice and screen presence. Yet, as her fame grew, so did the pressures of maintaining a career at the top. The industry would soon test her with both opportunities and controversies that would shape not only her career but also her legacy. To understand how she became a Hollywood icon and how she nearly lost it, we need to trace the rise that brought her from indie darling to blockbuster queen. Scarlett Johansson's rise to mainstream fame was not accidental. It was the product of deliberate choices and performances that showcased her range. After Lost in Translation, 2003, made her an international name, she quickly followed with Girl with a Pearl Earring the same year. As the servant turned muse opposite Colin Firth, Johansson delivered a hauntingly restrained performance that earned Golden Globe and BAFTA nominations. In a single year, she transitioned from promising indie actress to one of Hollywood's most sought-after talents. The early 2000s cemented her reputation. In Match Point, 2005, directed by Woody Allen, she played Nola Rice, a struggling actress who becomes the focal point of an affair that spirals into betrayal and tragedy. Critics praised her ability to command the screen with a mix of sensuality and vulnerability. The performance confirmed her as more than just a Hollywood starlet. She was a serious actress capable of handling complex, morally ambiguous roles. Her collaborations spanned genres. Thrillers like The Island, 2005, comedies such as Vicky Cristina Barcelona, 2008, and experimental projects like Under the Skin, 2013, in which she played an alien seductress in a film that blurred the line between narrative and performance art. These choices signaled that Johansson wasn't afraid of risk. She moved between blockbuster projects and daring art films, building a resume that made her nearly impossible to categorize. But the turning point in her career was Marvel. In 2010, Johansson debuted as Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow, in Iron Man 2. The role reintroduced her to global audiences, this time as an action star. With every subsequent Marvel film, The Avengers, 2012, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, 2014, and beyond, she became a central figure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fans embraced her as the franchise's first female Avenger, and her sleek black suit and martial arts choreography turned her into an icon of modern action cinema. What made her Marvel role significant wasn't just visibility, it was longevity. Over a decade, Johansson played Black Widow in multiple films, culminating in her own solo feature, Black Widow, 2021. Few actors maintain such consistency across both critical and commercial landscapes, and Johansson managed it while still taking on independent projects like Her, 2013, where she gave a deeply human vocal performance without ever appearing on screen. By the late 2010 seconds, Johansson had achieved rare dual dominance. She was both a blockbuster mainstay and an award season contender. Performances in Marriage Story, 2019, and Jojo Rabbit, 2019, earned her back-to-back Academy Award nominations, Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress, in the same year. It was proof that she could balance billion-dollar franchises with deeply personal, dramatic work. Her rise was dazzling, a trajectory that spanned indie roots, art house acclaim, and global box office dominance. But the higher the climb, the sharper the spotlight. Alongside her triumphs came scandals and controversies that threatened to overshadow the artistry. By the mid-2010 seconds, Scarlett Johansson had cemented her position as one of the most versatile and bankable actresses in Hollywood. She had achieved what few performers could, a resume that blended billion-dollar blockbusters with auteur-driven art films, critical acclaim with box office dominance. This was the peak of her career, the moment when Johansson wasn't just an actress, she was a brand. Her defining role, of course, was Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Introduced in Iron Man 2, 2010, Natasha Romanoff quickly became a fan favorite. Johansson's portrayal balanced lethal efficiency with emotional depth, giving audiences a female hero who was more than just a supporting player. With each Marvel installment, The Avengers, 2012, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, 2014, Avengers, Infinity War, 2018, and ultimately, Avengers, Endgame, 2019. She became one of the cornerstones of the MCU. Her character's sacrifice in Endgame was one of the franchise's most emotional moments, and when she finally received her own solo film, Black Widow, 2021, it was both a culmination and a vindication. For more than a decade, Johansson had carried the mantle of Marvel's first female Avenger, paving the way for others. But Marvel was only half the story. In between those superhero films, Johansson delivered some of the most daring and acclaimed performances of her career. In Spike Jonze's Her, 2013, she voiced Samantha, an artificial intelligence who falls in love with a human. Despite never appearing on screen, her performance was so affecting that critics argued she deserved an Oscar nomination. In Under the Skin, 2013, she played a predatory alien, blending scripted scenes with unscripted encounters in Scotland. The result was a chilling avant-garde exploration of humanity that showcased her fearlessness as an artist. Her dramatic peak arrived in 2019. That year, she starred in Marriage Story as Nicole, a woman navigating a painful divorce. The role earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, praised for its raw vulnerability and emotional precision. In the same year, she portrayed Rosie in Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit, a role that earned her another Oscar nomination. this time for Best Supporting Actress. To be recognized in two categories in the same year was a rare achievement, underscoring her dominance at the height of her career. Johansson also became a staple in the fashion world. Her red carpet appearances, magazine covers, and endorsement deals made her a style icon. She was repeatedly listed among the world's most beautiful and influential women, amplifying her cultural footprint beyond cinema. Financially, this was also her golden era. For multiple years, she topped Forbes' list of highest-paid actresses, commanding tens of millions per film and negotiating back-end deals that made her one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. She was no longer dependent on studio goodwill. She had the leverage to demand respect and compensation equal to her male co-stars. Yet at this peak, shadows lingered. Some of her choices would provoke backlash, while others would test her ability to navigate the shifting politics of Hollywood. The scandals that followed, ranging from casting controversies to lawsuits, would put her hard-won reputation under siege. At the very height of her fame, Scarlett Johansson discovered that stardom in the digital age can be as volatile as it is rewarding. While her acting resume was filled with triumphs, her public image became a battleground. Some controversies were born out of personal violations, others from industry politics, and still others from cultural debates that no actor could escape. The first major scandal erupted in 2011, when Johansson became one of the most high-profile victims of a hacking ring that targeted celebrities. Private photos stolen from her phone spread across the internet within hours. For many stars, such a violation would have meant retreat and humiliation. Johansson, however, chose a different path. She pursued the case in court, working with the FBI until the hacker was caught and sentenced to a decade in prison. It was a rare instance of a celebrity fighting back and winning, but the scars lingered. For years, headlines about her career were accompanied by whispered references to those leaked images. Then came the casting controversies. In 2017, Johansson starred in Ghost in the Shell, a live-action remake of the beloved Japanese manga and anime. Instead of applause, the film was met with outrage. Critics accused the studio of whitewashing, arguing that casting a white actress in a role tied deeply to Japanese culture erased authentic representation. Johansson bore the brunt of the backlash. Interviews she gave to defend the decision were dissected online, with many accusing her of insensitivity. Though the controversy didn't end her career, it marked a turning point. For the first time, she was seen not only as a star, but also as a symbol of Hollywood's tone-deaf casting practices. The storm grew fiercer in 2018, when Johansson was announced as the lead in Rub and Tug, portraying a transgender man. Advocacy groups and fans immediately protested, arguing that transgender roles should be played by transgender actors. Johansson initially pushed back, but the backlash intensified. Within weeks, she stepped down from the role, acknowledging the importance of authentic representation. The incident was a lesson in how quickly public opinion could shift, and how even A-list stars had to adapt to changing cultural expectations. While these controversies dented her reputation, they also revealed Johansson's resilience. Yet another clash lay ahead, this time not with fans, but with Hollywood itself. In 2021, Johansson sued Disney over the release strategy of Black Widow. Her contract had promised a theatrical release with back-end bonuses tied to box office revenue. When the studio released the film simultaneously on Disney+, Johansson argued she lost tens of millions. The lawsuit stunned the industry. Few stars had ever taken on a studio so publicly. Disney initially painted her as greedy, but the narrative quickly flipped. Fellow actors and industry observers rallied behind her, seeing the case as a fight for fairness in the streaming era. Johansson ultimately reached a settlement, and her bold move set a precedent for how contracts would be negotiated in the future. Taken together, these scandals form a jagged portrait of Johansson's career. She has been a victim of digital exploitation, a lightning rod for debates about race and gender in casting, and a pioneer in challenging corporate power. Each episode risked derailing her career, yet each also forced her to evolve, hardening her reputation as not just a performer, but a fighter. By the early 2020s, she was no longer just an actress at the mercy of Hollywood. She was a woman rewriting its rules. The question remained, how would history remember Scarlett Johansson? As a scandal magnet, or as a survivor who turned every battle into a stepping stone? Scarlett Johansson's career, with its triumphs and scandals, ultimately paints the picture of a star who refused to be defined by anyone but herself. Few actors of her generation have faced such a broad spectrum of challenges, from invasive violations of privacy, to cultural firestorms over casting, to public battles with one of the biggest studios in the world. And yet, instead of fading, Johansson has used each storm to sharpen her image not as flawless, but as fiercely resilient. Her legacy begins with the work. Films like Lost in Translation, Her, Under the Skin, Marriage Story, and Jojo Rabbit have secured her place in cinematic history. She proved capable of vulnerability, sensuality, menace, and tenderness, sometimes all in the same role. Her voice alone, as Samantha in Her, carried enough emotional weight to convince audiences of a love story without a single physical appearance. That range will outlast the controversies. But legacy is also about impact beyond the screen. Johansson's lawsuit against Disney was more than a fight over one paycheck. It was a challenge to the imbalance of power between studios and stars in the streaming era. By standing her ground, she sent a message to Hollywood. Contracts matter, fairness matters, and even the most powerful companies must be held accountable. Many insiders believe her case permanently altered how actors negotiate deals in the new media landscape. Her cultural impact is equally complicated. The backlash to Ghost in the Shell and Rub and Tug reflects how Hollywood and its stars are learning, often painfully, to navigate issues of representation. Johansson's willingness to step back from roles and admit missteps shows an evolution in her public persona, from defensive to reflective. Whether applauded or criticized, she has remained at the center of conversations about who gets to tell which stories, ensuring her career is tied to the broader history of representation in cinema. As of today, Johansson continues to balance artistry and business. She develops projects through her production company, chooses roles that challenge expectations, and remains one of the most bankable names in the industry. Off-screen, her advocacy for privacy and control over her likeness foreshadows the battles all celebrities and perhaps all individuals will face in an era of AI and digital replication. So, what is Scarlett Johansson's legacy? To some, she will always be Black Widow, the first female Avenger who paved the way for others. To others, she will be the indie darling of Lost in Translation or the Oscar-nominated mother in Marriage Story. But perhaps her true legacy lies in the battles she fought, to protect her image, to correct her missteps, and to demand fair treatment in a changing Hollywood. In the end, Scarlett Johansson is more than a star. She is a survivor, an innovator, and a symbol of how scandal, when confronted with courage, can be transformed into strength.